Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 418. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hi. Hello.
This week on the show we'll be reviewing Pablo Larraín's Emma. We'll also be going over some we've been watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters and on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. We have this month's Saved by the 90s locked down. We're going to be recording it next week, so stay tuned for that. I can tell you right now we're going to be doing some thrillers, and I am pretty excited about the lineup. So, all right, let's take a look at Emma. I have a synopsis here. A couple deals with the aftermath of an adoption that goes awry as their household falls apart. We do have a review for this up on the site. Amanda wrote a review for us. We'll start with you, Kevin. What were your initial impressions of Emma?
Early on, this is visually very striking, especially with that opening shot. I was like, okay, I'm on board. The Nicholas Jar soundtrack, I think, is without a doubt the high point.
100% agree. That was one of the only notes I wrote about it here was have to talk about the soundtrack because it was 100% the best part for me.
Yeah, if you're a Nicholas Jar fan, oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think anyone can argue with that. That is without a doubt the best aspect of this movie.
I think it's one of the best soundtracks of the year, to be honest with you. Like one of the best I've heard this year.
So, I mean, you have, and that seemed to be featured prominently in the beginning. You know what I mean? And it seemed like it kind of trailed off a little bit once the narrative kicked in or whatever. So I think early on, I was really on board with this. You had the striking visuals, you had the soundtrack that's thumping, and I'm just like, there's a flamethrower involved. Like this is kind of working for me. And then some of that kind of dissipated, and we got more into the narrative thing here. And the overall story of this did not work for me at all. This is hollow as hell. It's just empty.
Yeah.
And man, it really started getting on my nerves.
Yeah. Right there with you. I didn't know anything about this movie going into it. Like I didn't see a trailer. I didn't read a synopsis. I didn't know anything. So I really wasn't sure what to expect. And like you, that opening like 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, I'm not really into like the interpretive, like modern dance type stuff, but that soundtrack is really bumping. I love the like giant sun flame background stuff. I love the flamethrower thing. And I think that the music that was accompanying it, like just really complemented it because it's something. It definitely says something when I can be watching like an interpretive dance routine and be like into it. And I think that is 100% due to the music and that really striking background that they were dancing in front of. And like you, once the narrative beats start to hit, it really just completely lost me. And I felt very similar to you where it all seemed incredibly hollow. I could not connect to anyone in this movie whatsoever. It felt so everything felt so forced to me. Like the conversations first of all, they were not natural, which is not necessarily a problem, but
they're overwritten.
Yeah, everything
is the issue.
Everything was so overwritten, and everybody was like so brutally honest in this movie that it was like it almost seemed completely unbelievable to me that all of these characters would be this brutally honest with each other. And at first I was like, oh, maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe they're just like, that's just how they are when they're like this very like upfront about speaking their mind. But the longer it went on, the more I was just like, nah, that's not.
No, because and I think that's one of the issues with this movie, outside of it being completely overwritten and just like it's the vibes that I get from this movie is a fucked up modern version, but not as fucked up, but in some ways just as fucked up. Is like it's very Shakespearean.
Mm.
It feels like Titus Andronicus,
Mm-hmm.
but not with eating people unknowingly. Um, so I think the thing that made it difficult is that like all these people are awful.
Yeah.
Like they're just not good people. And they're just and I don't know, I'm not exactly sure the angle of this. Because what essentially happens is if we can back up a minute, we have Emma and Gaston, the married couple that are just completely awful for each other. They're terrible.
Yeah,
They hate each other.
I mean that beginning scene when they're just doing the back and forth with each other, and
I mean, my God, they have so much hatred for each other. Just like an intense loathing.
She calls him an infertile pig, I think, at one point.
Yeah, like it's bad. It is bad. So you have them, and you're already in the midst of this aftermath of the adoption thing, and we kind of find out that this kid that they adopted, Polo, he was bad. You know, he was not well behaved.
He's a psychopath.
Yeah, pretty much. So you have a bunch of people that aren't likable, even the ones that you haven't even met yet, just from what you're learning. And I couldn't tell with Emma's like plan, like once she gets the ball rolling on this plan, I couldn't tell if this was supposed to be like in some way like kind of concealed or obscured, but like I knew from the outset exactly what she was doing. So it was very bizarre at the end where she's like explaining it to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, we know that was clearly what you were doing. Like,
yeah, when she well that's the funny thing is even if you didn't know what she was doing, there's a big reveal when you see what she's doing, and then they doubled down and then they had like this whole explanation of like her plan. But it wasn't like some kind of big master plan. Like we knew what she was doing. Even if you didn't, you then later saw the couple and you're just like, oh, okay, so that was what she was planning. But then they had this whole extra scene where they're like, where she's like walking us through everything,
which was just bizarre to me. Which is really strange in the sense that you have a movie that's extremely overwritten, and then you get to the end, you're like, we're just going to really dumb it down.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a weird 180 turn.
I just, I think that it just wasn't for me. I just didn't find, like, I liked the musical interludes. Like, I thought that those were actually well done, but everything in between, I was just like, I'm just not that really interested in what's happening here. Like, this is not very compelling to me.
And I think the main issue in terms of it not being compelling is just like I couldn't pin down thematically what it was going for.
Right. Yeah, I have the same issue.
I'm not 100% sure if like what the overall meaning or like point of the entire thing was. Like I don't know. And after a while I'm just like, okay, there's only so many like dancing montages and flamethrower montages that I can handle. Because after a while, you're just like, okay, this is all just kind of hollow imagery. Like, yeah, I get it. The flamethrower looks cool. But, I mean, how many times are we going to do a flamethrower montage?
Oh, like 3 or 4, actually.
Yeah, and then the dancing, too. I was like, the dancing's like
a lot. That happens a lot. Like the flamethrower stuff is like 3 times, but then the dancing, I didn't count how many, but it's quite a few.
And I don't know a lot about dancing. I mean, obviously, but the dancing felt kind of rigid to me. Like it just.
I
I don't know.
Yeah,
It just
I
didn't
didn't.
see it. It just seemed kind of awkward. Where it's just like,
Well, a
okay,
couple of them were just like, what? Wait, what? Like when there was one when she was just like randomly, they cut to her just outside, just dancing it up for a little bit. She was completely by herself, just popping and locking and doing the
yeah.
body rolls and all that. And it was just like, okay, I guess this is like her getting out her frustration or something. I don't know.
I don't either. But I mean, she's an awful person.
Yeah,
Gaston's an awful person. They're all like,
both they
well, I should say
neither.
those two. Those two are just awful
Well, and
people.
that's the thing. Like the other characters are not really
They're
developed
not.
at
Yeah,
all. Like
they're not fleshed out enough to even
you can't
warrant
even.
a
Yeah,
judgment.
there's no opinions to be had on the tertiary characters, like all the other women in the dance troupe, and like the sister who gets burned. Like there's no, can't really formulate any opinions on these people because they're just they're not even, they're just window dressing basically.
Yeah, they're just pawns. They're pawns in the life of Emma and Gaston.
Yeah, and the same can be said
Just
about the couple, the other married couple.
yeah.
I mean, they're kind of shitty too in their own way, but
No, because it does now that I'm like kind of like thinking about it. It does feel like this movie is just dancing montages, flamethrower montages, like one montage of sex scenes, and like that's it.
mm-hmm.
And then she explains her plan at the end, where it's like, yeah, no, we knew.
Yeah, we put it together.
You don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right. That's really all I have to say about Emma. Not really.
Soundtrack is great though. I'm
Uh,
getting that son of a bitch
oh
on my
yeah,
phone.
yeah for sure.
I'm gonna be thumping that while I'm working on some watches.
Hell yeah. All right.
Dreaming about wielding a flamethrower.
Anything else to add about Emma before we give it a score?
Man, no. I feel like there should be more to say about this movie, but I really don't think there is,
No, I mean,
to be honest.
like I thought that there would be a deeper exploration into the child. Like they accuse each other. There's a lot of accusatory stuff, but there's never really like any kind of deep reflection into like what's going on with this kid, why this happened, like any kind of look into that. It was all just them being like, well, you fucked up. You're a bad parent. No, you're a bad parent. You fucked up. All right, let's get a divorce. All right, let's just fuck everybody. And it's just,
That was really the only thing that I could like kind of think of is this like maternal angle where like she's really fucked up and you can't tell if she's maternal or maybe she's super hyper maternal because she will literally do anything. But at the same time, just like it's not an interesting enough exploration of that.
I liked how that scene when she's at the school and they're all just like, you're a terrible person. And they were like, oh, wait, you're still going to work here after all that? Like, that was just, it's like, damn, I can't imagine my coworkers being that curt with me.
But maybe someone needed to be. I
Yeah.
mean, the kid tried to burn down a house and what, killed a cat?
Killed a cat, tried to murder his aunt.
Yeah. I mean, which is not, it's just messy in terms of its messaging. Because like when you meet the kid, he seems completely fine. So like what are you trying to say that it's actually, it's the this is like a nurturing thing? Like is this nature versus nurture type deal? Is that what you're going for? But it seems very reductionist
Mm-hmm.
in the way that it's going about it. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work in any way.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's go ahead and give it a score. Kevin, what are you going to give Emma?
I give Emma a 4.
I'm sitting at a 4.5 on this one. Yeah, 4.5, somewhere around there. Just really not for me. in our written review, Amanda gave it a 5.5, I think. So she wasn't too into it either. So all right,
Understandable.
yeah, this is playing in theaters right now. So check your listings if you're interested. Let's talk about some of them watching. I think it's your turn, Kevin.
I have one, which is also not a good movie, and that is Together, which is playing on Hulu, your Hulu subscription. Don't put it to use watching Together.
So I have a question about this movie. Can, as far as like surrogacy goes, can anybody just be a surrogate? I mean, I guess they could, right? There's no like flaws or anything. Like, I guess you could just be a surrogate. Because the premise is like Ed Helms is like a single guy, but he wants to be a dad, right? So he gets a surrogate. And then he sparks up a friendship with this.
Yeah, which is one of the two aspects of this movie that works for me. This is directed by Nicole Beckwith. So the nice thing is there's never this like, oh, are they going to hook up? Are they going to get together? Like Ed Helms, like kind of, he's not necessarily like pursuing her, but he does, because Patty Harrison's character a couple of times is like, ew, I'm not with him, ew. And he starts to get offended by that. Like, what the hell? Why would we do it? And he's like, she's like, you know, you're 40 some years old. Like, that's just weird. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
But there's never that, like, because I was so worried throughout the movie. I'm just like, please don't go down that route.
Well, I was concerned that they were going to do that as well.
No, they have issues creating boundaries, essentially. They're both kind of loners. So they kind of get in that, like, this friendship develops, obviously, because she's carrying his child. And, you know, they start hanging out a lot. And then she starts thinking, like, oh, man, maybe I should have set up some boundaries. Like, we're way too close. But Ed Helms, you know, is really into it because he's a 40-year-old loner. But two things that I really liked outside of it never veered into romantic territory. Thank God, because that would have fucking been awful. Julio Torres is in this movie doing Julio Torres things. And I like watching him do anything. He's like my favorite person. It's the funniest person to me. And he's really good in this. And the only other thing is there's a scene that I've experienced this where Ed Helms is all excited about his surrogate is pregnant, played by Patty Harrison, and he goes to his brother's house, and his brother and his sister-in-law, and they have 2 kids, and he's poured out wine. He's all excited to give them the news. He's standing up, and like they don't really pay any attention to him. They're like worried about their kids, and they're just kind of like, yeah. And he's all excited to, giving the news, and no one's listening, which is a really awful fucking feeling that I've experienced with, people that have kids. They just like give you no attention whatsoever. And it sucks. Even if it's like really, really bad news and they're just like talking to their kids while you're on the phone, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll just do this some other time, I guess.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, actually.
I fucking hate it. I once called my dad with like terrible medical news, and he was talking to his kids the whole time. I was just
man. It's brutal.
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. You're just like, should I call back? Like,
and they always give you the no, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm engaging.
What is that? You might die. What is it? What'd you say?
All right, so that's together.
But other than that, this movie is just it's incredibly bland.
Yeah,
this is just boy, oof.
It looked pretty.
It's
pretty bland.
It's bad. It's bad.
The only thing that made me even somewhat interested in it is the Patty Harrison, because I think she is so funny on Shrill. I'm not a big fan of that show actually, but I think that she's the reason I watched that show. She's so funny in that show.
I like Shrill, and I like her on it. And it's honestly the only thing I think that Julio Torres is his weakest out of everything that I've seen him on. But yeah, she's doing pretty much kind of the same thing. She's not as caustic as she is on Shrill, but she's kind of doing the same thing, just a more toned down version.
Got it. All right. So I'll just wrap all my stuff up into one thing. So on the Arrow streaming service, they released the Rick Sloane collection, Volume 1. And so these are a whole bunch of movies directed by Rick Sloane. If you haven't heard of him, he's a B movie director. So I watched Vice Academy 1, 2, and 3, and Hobgoblins and The Visitants this week. So Vice Academy, if you're not familiar, the first one came out in 1989. It's basically a Police Academy ripoff. It's a little bit more lewd than Police Academy. I don't remember if the first Police Academy was rated R or not. I don't think so, but this is like an R-rated version of Police Academy where it's a little bit more sexualized. It's a little bit more exploitative. So like it's basically taking the Police Academy formula and throwing an exploitation film into it. It's kind of, it's bad. It's not a good movie, but it is pretty entertaining. So if you're looking for like a just dumb 80s comedy, then I would say Vice Academy, it definitely fits that bill. Parts 2 and 3 are pretty much more the same. Part 2 has the same cast in it, so you have Linnea Quigley in the lead role here. And she's in parts 1 and 2, and she's great. Everybody else is pretty rough around the edges on this. And then Vice Academy Part 3 features the sister of Linnea Quigley, and it starts to go downhill in Part 3, which came out in 1991. That one was not very enjoyable at all. I think that there's like a whole. I think there's 6.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the posters for Vice Academy 4, 5, and 6, and it seems like they got away from and just because they kind of look like
softcore
porn. Yeah,
yeah, but the covers definitely look like softcore porn. I would say that Part 3. They're not like egregious in the sex stuff.
Because even just looking at the covers of like 1 and 2, you're like, oh, okay, this looks like Police Academy ripoff, or just the buddy cop comedies, but with women.
It's so bad. Like, it makes no sense. There's they're in a Vice Academy, but it's all women, and there's one dude named Dwayne, and
yes,
and they have to like hit arrest quotas and stuff, which so the whole basis of the movie doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they be arresting people if they're in the academy? They're not cops. So they're like going undercover and like busting up these like porn rings and stuff, and it's just it's really silly. But yeah, the later ones definitely look like they focus more on the sex stuff, which I can't verify until Part 2 of the set comes out.
Yeah, but I'm guessing from what I'm seeing that yes.
Yeah, they're probably, and then they're in the 90s too, so it's probably gonna look and feel just different. Vice Academy 3 had this like ridiculously long stripping scene in it, and it was like it felt like it was 10 minutes long, and they weren't like stripping nude or anything. They were just like dancing like sensually, and it was just, oh man, it was so cringy. Hobgoblins is a ripoff of Gremlins, but the funny thing is, they like these Hobgoblins, sorry, they allow you to live out your fantasies. So if you fantasize about something, they like turn it into a reality and then kill you while you're in your fantasy. So that's kind of the hook of this one. So basically he did the same thing with Police Academy. So he took Gremlins and he made it way more sexual and turned it into like this goofy 80s sex comedy. And there was just these little hobgoblins.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really bad. The puppets are atrocious. There's like no articulation to them at all. They just look like static stuffed animals, basically. So it's pretty bad, and it's not very entertaining either, unfortunately. The Visitants is a little bit more entertaining. This is sort of like Night of the Comet or something, where it takes place in the 50s, and these like aliens come to Earth, and a high school kid ends up stealing their ray gun, which, by the way, their ray gun is literally, I don't know if you remember these like old toy guns that they had like metal triggers, and you would pull them and it would like create sparks inside the gun.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
They would like spin, it would be like a thing that spins and creates sparks.
Yeah.
And it was literally one of those things. Like they weren't even trying to hide it. They didn't like repaint it or anything. It was literally one of those toy guns that you pull the trigger and it revs up and creates sparks inside the gun.
Wow.
Yeah. So this one was super low budget, incredibly low budget. It made absolutely no sense at all. Completely illogical from beginning to end. And this one was kind of fun. So the thing about Rick Sloan is like all his movies are absolute shit, but I had a pretty good time with it. They're definitely like so bad it's good type of movies.
Fuck you, Rick Sloan. Your goddamn knockoff movies.
I think he's still like cranking out movies too.
I would also like to point out, because you were like, these are all on Arrow. I would also like to point out that they're also all on Tubi. So Tubi had him first, I bet you.
Oh, wow.
Tubi. First and foremost.
They did it. He did. I think he most recently did Hobgoblins 2, which came out in 2009.
Wow.
So
incredible.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, like, you have all of these like B movie directors, and when they make like modern movies, they just it's never the same. Like they're awful, just like the ones in the 80s. But there's like something missing, and I don't really know what it is.
It's the time. It's the time frame.
Because
you don't have the nostalgia factor. But I do like that Hobgoblins 2 synopsis just says the sequel to the Rick Sloan classic from 1980s, Hobgoblins.
Yep, that's it. That is it.
Also on Tubi, by the way.
Hobgoblins 2?
Yep.
Nice.
It seems like maybe every Rick Sloan Blood Theater is not on.
Oh, Blood Theater is on Arrow. I just didn't watch it. I turned it on, but I wasn't paying attention enough to it to like log it.
That's the one. That's the one that they got that Tubi couldn't.
Do they have the Vice Academy 4, 5, and 6?
Ooh. Let me find out.
Because
Tubi has number 4. Oh man, they got number 5. God, do they have all 6? Incredible. If they have it, they do. They have all 6. They have
sweet. So I'll follow up next week and let you know how 4, 5, and 6 ended up. Because I am 100% going to watch those.
Tubi does not have Bikini Academy though.
Surfer Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah, 1996. So.
Oh, but it's also known as Babe Watch. So maybe you got to put it on search for Babe Watch.
He's knocking off two types there. Jesus.
An army. It says the Bikini Academy, also known as Babe Watch, a army unit of big tit lifesavers, including patrol the shores to maintain visitors secure.
That's Just,
I mean, why is it? Who wrote this?
I don't know.
Patrol the shores to maintain visitors secure.
Yeah. Incredible.
And the cover looks like it's been like the woman who's predominantly featured looks like her face was photoshopped onto a different person's body.
Yeah, this looks like a fan made type deal.
Surfer Girl's gone wild.
They're out of their fucking minds.
Average score 2.8 on Letterboxd. So,
What you would think would go against them securing, you know what I mean? If they've gone wild, I don't think that they would be able to patrol the shores and maintain visitors secure when you lose your mind like that. You know what I mean?
can you maintain the secure? I don't know. All right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. Just one to mention, and that's Reminiscence.
Okay.
That's the Hugh Jackman sci-fi one, I guess.
Oh, Hugh Jackman doing some sci-fi.
Yeah, that's gonna also be on HBO Max, so you can check it out on there. It's one of those deals.
No point going to the theaters.
Yep, it's Warner Brothers, so I have no interest in this whatsoever. Like I love sci-fi movies, but this is just like the trailer does not make it look interesting or compelling whatsoever.
No, thank you.
On VOD this week, on the let's see, looks like we're going straight to the 20th, which is that's Friday, right? Yep.
Yeah.
On Friday the 20th, we have Memories of a Murderer, the Nielsen tapes. That's going to be on Netflix. It's a true crime doc about a serial killer from the UK, I believe. I already mentioned Reminiscence on HBO Max. The Loud House movie, that's going to be on Netflix. I guess that's a Nickelodeon show, animated show. Never heard of it.
Me either.
We got Sweet Girl, that's going to be on Netflix. That's a thriller with Jason Momoa. Action thriller. Got Annette coming out on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I imagine this is what we'll be talking about next week.
More than likely.
I can't talk about Annette and not think about the ridiculously long standing ovation it can, where Adam Driver got fed up and just lit up a cigarette in the audience.
I would too.
It's so funny, dude. We also have Paw Patrol the movie. That's going to be on Paramount Plus. That'll be in theaters too, but you know. Got Crypto Zoo coming out.
Interesting.
Yeah, this one I'm sort of interested in. I like the idea where it's a zoo with like fantasy creatures, and it's got a really good voice cast. And it's by the guy who did the that movie My Entire High School Sinking into the Sea or whatever that was called.
Yeah, which I did not make it through that. Just for whatever reason I couldn't do it.
I didn't see it, and I think the problem that I'm going to have with this is the animation. I'm not into the animation.
Yeah,
the kind of watercolor style.
It's too busy for me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We also have The Outsider. That's going to be a virtual theatrical release. We have Habit. This is a one with Bella Thorne, so I'll probably be avoiding that. That's about it. On Blu-ray this week, we have Labyrinth coming out in 4K. We have Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat from 1989. That's going to be a Vestron collection movie. Riders of Justice is coming out. I would recommend that if you haven't seen it yet. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is coming out. The Borrower from 1991. Rad from 1986.
Hell yeah.
Bingo from 1991. Oh man, I loved this movie for some reason when I was a kid.
What? Bingo?
Yeah, Bingo. I loved it. It's about the dog, the dog who goes missing, and the adventure that the dog has getting back to his owner.
Runaway circus dog. Incredible.
The Waterman. We have Stay Out of the Attic. That's on Shudder. You can check that out on there. I just wanted to
point out that you don't have Bingo logged on Letterboxd. Just
Really?
if you need to update that, add that to your top 4 on your profile page.
Well, I definitely need to add it. I can't believe I haven't added bingo to my list.
Hey,
I have like everything.
Not sure why you don't, but
okay, well, it's added now, so I gotta revisit that. Actually, that's a perfect one for Saved by the 90s because I have like anecdotes. I got anecdotes for that movie. Like I could definitely do that. That's pretty much it for regular stuff. What do we have on Criterion this week?
Well, the interesting thing with Criterion, checking their website, always go off their website, right? And they have nothing labeled. Oh no, never mind. They flipped it. That's why. Sons of bitches. So the only Criterion is the original cast album Company from D.A. Pennebaker, the documentary for theater aficionados.
Okay.
All about So that's something.
Right.
But the other thing is they did finally announce that they're doing 4K Ultra HD releases.
They're always late to the party on that.
So it's happening. They announced 6 titles.
It's funny. We were just talking about that. We were like just a couple weeks ago. We were like, why hasn't Criterion started putting out 4K stuff yet?
So they did. They're going to do. These are the first 6: Citizen Kane, Menace to Society, The Piano, Mulholland Drive, The Red Shoes, and A Hard Day's Night. Those are going to be the first 6.
Menace to
Eclectic
Society.
Mix. Yeah,
man,
I like that.
I have not seen that movie in years, so
I know.
I think that now's going to be the time to revisit that. Cool.
Bingo.
That and bingo. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulse.net and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be much appreciated. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name is Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.